The Human-Centric Storytelling is a series of reflections and conversations that provides an overview, tools, and frameworks from world-class marketing leadership in human-centric approach to storytelling. From over 2 decades of leading brands like Nokia, Nike, Adidas, and most recently as Chief Marketing Officer at Saucony. During this podcast, I will introduce you to concepts of brand marketing, communications, and successful frameworks that the most loved brands use in their day-to-day work. We'll also discuss various disciplines and the roles that these brands play in the development of culture, art, and society as a whole, from large iconic to small and scrappy marketing programs, from inspiration to humanizing your brand. I am Fabio Tambosi, your host, a multicultural and true international marketer known for building and creating emotive brand stories in today's fast-changing digital landscape and leading highly collaborative teams, all rooted in my lifelong experience as an elite soccer player. Listen in to hear how brands, people, and the world of marketing is undergoing a radical transformation and how global leaders are changing the world by using the power of human-centric stories and social media. Today, we're going to cover one of my favorite topics, turning a big idea into a story. One of the main objectives of marketing campaigns is to inspire and engage consumers by translating an insight into a big idea. But sometimes, these campaigns can miss the mark, wasting the brand's time, money, and energy. To prevent costly and potentially losing connection with consumers, marketers have the job to seamlessly weave the story in a way that keeps consumers engaged and helps to build an emotional relationship with their audience at scale. To avoid dull, monotone ads, marketers should try not to be stating the main idea in the campaign bluntly. Yet, of course, we want the big idea to be clearly understood. But we do not want to tell the consumers what it is, and we want to intrigue them and get them thinking. To create a campaign that keeps the consumer interested in your brand, find a way to incorporate your big idea into a brand narrative. The big idea is the key takeaway that the brand wants consumers to get out of the brand campaign. The overarching theme links the consumers to a critical human truth, an insight, or your brand purpose. It should be a simple yet powerful thought that the marketer uses to drive emotional and visceral reactions through messaging. Not only should the idea be central to the campaign, but it should also be recognized and congruent across all touch points. Creating a brand narrative around a big idea is easy. All you have to do is to follow the guidelines to develop a purposeful story while keeping your brand's key message and truth at the center. To begin, remember, keep it simple. Keep it simple and keep it simple. Not only are people so busy during the day that they do not have time to spend more than a few minutes or even just seconds trying to understand your brand narrative, but each generation's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. Marketers need to keep the story punchy and straightforward. You should grab attention right away, and you keep it for the duration of the ad to maximize active engagement and ensure consumers receive the entire narrative. Any good story needs an introduction, a climax, and a resolution. Or more simply put, a beginning, a middle, and an end. The consumer should follow a clear story arc and watch as your brand can help its hero establish and solve a problem using their product. The story doesn't need to be an elaborative tale. An entire story can be told within seconds, and even through still images such as a print or social media post. Say you're working on an ad campaign for your running shoes. Can you think of a few examples how a billboard or a print ad can tell a complete story? If not, don't worry, it seems more complicated than it is. Here's an example of an easy way to tell a story using still images. Say your hero lives in an impoverished neighborhood. There is an obstacle they need to overcome. It's simple, it's relatable, it's easy for consumers to sympathize with it. Now let's say your hero escapes from the situation, is running. What is the thing that takes them through the streets of their city and helps them quite literally run away into better things? Your brand's running shoes. Should the hero wearing the shoes and running from overgrown trash litter sideways straight through the finish line of an Olympic track and field event? What's the big idea? Your brand shoes will keep consumers performing their best to achieve their goals. Consumers realize that the big idea without the brand ever stating directly. It's a feeling, a sensation. When you tell a story, the consumer will feel like living it right with your heroes. They will feel the daunting pull of the runner situations clawing to hold them back. They will feel the anticipation of wanting to see the runner will make their escape, and then they will finally feel the joy, freedom, when the runner achieves their goals. That feeling of triumph is what they will associate with your brand. It's a sensation that the consumer can only achieve through the connective power of purpose storytelling. You make them fall in love with your product. So, once you've established your initial brand story, it's essential to continue the story through several touch points to create a complete, immersive experience for the consumer. People are attracted to things simply by recognition. The more they see your brand story, the more they become familiar with your campaign, the more they'll believe it and love it. That doesn't mean showing the same ad repeatedly across different platforms, but modifying or continuing the narrative. Create a short TikTok snippets of the runner running through the streets in their shoes. Create an Instagram post of the runner celebrating with their family after crossing the Olympic finish line. Create an experiential event in his or her inner city, neighborhoods, connected to donate to the shoe to underprivileged communities. Do you see how these executions are different but contribute to the overall brand narrative? Keep the message consistent and use those touch points to relate to your more extensive campaign to that one big idea. This immersive experience offers more exposure to consumers and makes them feel that they are entirely into the brand story. After they see the brand story played out on screen or in print, and then elements from that story starts to show up in their reality continuously, they will feel like they are living in your brand narrative. It will amplify the relationship with the brand and strengthen the connection to your product. Telling a story through your brand executions will allow consumers to feel more connected to your brand. Coupling neurons in your brain create a dynamic experience while listening to a level where the listener's brain's activity syncs up with the brain activity of the story and makes sense of trusted connection. Brands can harness this sensation to build relationships with their consumers every single day. Always be true to your brand. While it might be easy to get carried away in your story's detail, remember to always keep your big idea at the center of the campaign. If you start to drift off into a narrative you have created, remember to use your brand's voice and message to ground you. It's okay to develop brand stories out there, and sometimes the best ones are, but don't stray from the primary purpose of your campaign. Brand stories are catalysts that help you get your message across emotionally and engagingly, not to make up things about your brand that aren't true. Use your brand stories to create trust with your audience, and you will attract a much broader demographic while creating an unforgettable experience for your core consumer.